Hey, this is Jotham. Welcome back to my videos. I'm going to be talking about the design choices I've made to make my Hitman level. I'm only halfway through the project, but I think it's important that I showcase what I've been doing and how it relates to the source material. I'm designing a Hitman level based off the newer games. Most of the inspiration I've taken from is from the first of the newer games. That's the game I've played the most. I'm playing this on Hitman 3. Which is the latest one, and as part of this game I do have all of the levels that IO Interactive made, but yes, most of the inspiration did come from the first couple of levels, really. Well, the first game, actually, yeah. So this is the first big level that there is. It takes place in Paris. It's a fashion event. Two targets, one in an open area, we're going to see him in just a moment, and one in a much more difficult to get to area. So I'm just going to walk in and we'll see him do this grand entrance.
Step right in, sir.
And there he is, that's our target. So the Hitman levels, it's always good to sort of tease information about the targets while they're exploring around the area. There are always different levels of security as well. This is a public area, and if you can try and get some information while they're in the public area, it gives the players more leads to go off, and makes them more interesting. This level does it quite well because straight away, if you do go through the main entrance, you're greeted straight away with this big grand opening. Like, wow, okay, we've got to sort this guy out. So it's good fun. It's quite good. But yeah, this whole area down here, I'm just going to give you a quick tour. The main entrance there. Moving through, we have this catwalk. Some fashion models are getting ready to do their walk to strut their stuff. We have an area over here for chatting, a bar and some refreshments, and then I'll quickly just dart over here. Outside is a patio. So a big feature about these levels that the developers really wanted to focus on was keeping them believable. Part of the reason why they're so fun is because you're getting up to all sorts of mischief in arenas and sandboxes that feel like they could exist. And this is something I really wanted to capture in my own level in Jothamesburg. And so it's a little bit easy for me. I live on a university campus, admittedly a city one, but a university campus nonetheless, and it gave me the perfect opportunity to properly understand how it works. So with the palace, it's a big building, gardens, and exteriors that look, quite grand. Maybe a statue or two. A statue of Napoleon, of course, why not? With the university campus, it's different buildings conjoined around a central plaza and different sort of open areas between them, effectively. So yeah, and I'm going to walk around and show you some of the stuff that is part of this level that I really took inspiration from. I'm not allowed to go there. Okay. Let's see if I can find a way. Yes, that's right. So to do this, I'm going to need a disguise because a lot of these areas are not open to the public, but they are open to the staff. I'm going to need to have a staff disguise. And so there's a little icon down here and there's a conversation happening. There are lots of conversations that happen in these levels, and they're almost always useful, but not always useful. Sometimes they're a bit rubbish. This one is useful. The game has given me a helpful hint about this. If I was just to move a bit closer, then they'll probably start talking. And they're talking about this special drink that the boss wants, and okay, well, what are you going to do about it? And so off one of them walks. The other one goes to another area, so I'm just going to wait for him to leave. And so yeah, the conversations are a really important part of the level. It really gives the sense that yeah, the world is believable, but also it gives the player more opportunity to just sort of feel their way around. Because these levels are so big, it's quite easy to get lost or feel overwhelmed. I'm quickly just going to knock this guy out. And so the conversations just give the players chances to get some more information, and you do kind of feel like a hitman when you're doing it, because you know they don't know you're listening in, but you're listening in anyway, and it's quite exciting actually. So I've just changed into some palace staff clothes. I'm allowed to be here. If I was to change back, you'll notice at the bottom left corner it says trespassing. In my level, I've got it in the top left corner, I think. But I think I'll keep it in the top left. I think it's a bit easier there. But if I change into different clothes, it shows no longer trespassing. I'm allowed to be here. Different levels of security, and I'm allowed to be here. So with this on, I'm going to quickly dart to another section. If I'm allowed. Am I allowed through here? I am. Super. So I'm just going over to the back area of this mansion because there are some really interesting things regarding moving. So with movement, there are three main ones I've implemented. I've got vaultables, which are these, I suppose, actually. I can show you here. Vault over. Climbables and ledges. So the climbables in the level are supposed to be these sort of drain pipes. And the drain pipes are quite cool. You can go up and you can go down again. And I've tried to really get that to work in my level as well, and it does work pretty well. And I'll quickly go up to the ledges. Dart over to the ledge, here we are. So yeah, Hitman can go up, he can go down again, and he can connect back to this. And so these climbables are really useful in separating areas, but also in connecting them as well. And so the drain pipes are probably the most stark example of this, because you've got, especially in this level, the different floors have different security levels effectively. This drain pipe goes all the way to the top. This is a bit of a design problem, to be fair, with this level. I'll talk about that in a minute. But there is a better example of how they use this in this level actually later on. But in any case, with this one, if I wanted to get up to the second floor, I'm not actually allowed there. And I could try to get past the guards, but that's not really going to work because, of course, what am I going to do? Beat them up? I could, but there are guards over there as well. It's too open. Alright, so I could use this drain pipe to climb up to the next floor. And so I think I will. I'll use it to go up. And this way, this gives the player another way to go up and down levels without using stairs. Stairs are the main way, both in real life and in the game, that we go between different levels or different floors. And stairs are a really good way in this game to differentiate different levels of security and different areas. The problem with stairs is that everyone can sort of access them, I suppose, or you always know where the stairs are. Drain pipes, you tend not to notice so much. I'm just getting rid of this guy so I can talk without being worried. I'm going to get told off for being here. So stairs often have guards, but who on earth is ever going to guard a drain pipe? So drain pipes are really useful in this game to get between different levels. And the ledges can be useful to get between different parts of a floor. And there isn't really any examples in this level, and later ones I think there are. But I can still show you anyway. So I can sort of come here and then climb, and I could spend I don't know, like a minute walking, hanging, go all the way around to another open area. I'm not going to do that. I don't really want to waste my time or your time either. But yeah, the ledges just allow for that different sort of being able to walk along. And in the game, I don't have ledges exactly that function like that, but I have them pretty close. And this just means that the player does have more options other than stairs to go up and down and between different areas. And so I'm in an illegal area, but what you'll notice is that there's always lots of cover. And it's not just, random cover, it's cover that makes sense. These are all, so it's books and libraries and a bust. I'll quickly pick this up, it could be useful. And so in my own levels, in the areas you're not supposed to be, I've also tried to include these. I've tried to include areas for the player to hide behind without being noticed. And they're there, and of course, you know, it can be quite difficult at times. But you can seamlessly sneak around the place by darting from room to room and using the cover to your advantage. Corridors often have guards on. In the corridors in my level, I've also put some guards. And this is just because, yeah, that's the way it functions in the game. I've never been to a high security prison, but I can imagine the guards walk along the corridors there. So, I think it makes sense to have guards walking along the corridors, whereas the rooms, yeah, makes more sense to have, I think, less people. And I've tried to incorporate that in my level. Okay, so I'm going to change disguise again. You can do this in my level as well. Being able to change disguise on the fly is really important. Here we are. I'm a different type of palace guard now, or palace butler. One with a lot more influence. I won't be allowed to walk up though. They'll stop me. They say, "Want to frisk you?" Not going to do that. There is a window here that I could use. Not particularly helpful because it's right here and they obviously can see me. So I'm going to go back to the area, that drain pipe I showed you before. And this is a a genuine problem with this level. Is that you have this really wonderfully designed mansion that it's really hard to get from one level to the other level. That you've got to be quite creative. And that the top level is sort of the hardest area to get through. It's like a fortress. It's where the main target is, really. But then you've just got this pipe that goes straight from the bottom to the top, and it's like, well, really? It just feels a bit like cheating. I'm here. I'm at the top level now, without even getting frisked. I've brought my gun with me, and there's just one guard, and even here, I mean, it's pretty cool. I can knock him out, and I can wear his uniform. And, that's pretty fun. But it's just a bit. This part here is fine. Having a guard on your own, you need to have that to knock him out. But having it next to this big pipe from the bottom to the top, it just feels a bit. Let's be real. There is a better pipe. I'll go and show you. Actually, that makes a bit more sense. So in my levels, I've tried. I don't think there is a single pipe that goes from the top to the bottom, which forces the player to be a bit more creative with the way they move around the level. The kind of pipe I'll show you here is one that's far better and makes a lot more sense. And it's this one just here. You might be able to see it in your picture. Here we are. So this one, I'll just scale down. And so this one doesn't go all the way down to the bottom. It's actually above where we were talking, where I got the disguise in the first place. But it still has options. I can still go through that window over there, or I could go through this window over here. I have to come down to do that though. And there's some interesting stuff here. There's a speedboat key. Well, I'll use that for later. And yeah, another believable room, an art room in a mansion. Yeah, absolutely. That happens. And lots of furniture to hide as well, of course. I'll go back to the top here. The good thing about this is that it's a really nice mix of very difficult tight spaces and more open spaces. And so this area here is really hard to maneuver because you have furniture, but from this angle you've got two people, and you can't go past there if you're not in the right disguise, basically. Which is fine, that's right, you should have that in levels. This area here is a room where there's effectively no one. It's empty, and I think, where they've got things lined up to have more champagne or whatever, and this area is not free, there's no one here. It's not full. And there's somewhere to hide bodies as well. And this is good. It gives the player breathing room to plan, to think. the target, who is actually just there, walks past it a lot, and if you are so inclined, you can just sit here, get your gun out, and pop. But Hitman is not really that kind of game. I'll quickly show you why, actually. So I quickly just saved it so that I can get away with this. This is actually a really good place to shoot it because none of the guards here sort of are watching. The bodyguard isn't really here, but if I just do this. Oh heck. I can't even aim. There you are. The gunplay is really hard. But if they start shooting at me, it's like, okay, well I can hide. There's a guy here as well, and it's like, okay, yeah. So you can shoot them, it just doesn't work. Now I'm gonna die, and it's just So that's why we don't shoot. I mean, there are ways you can. If I was to shoot it here and run away, I'd probably get away with it. But it's not really the way it's supposed to be, and it's a bit like So yeah, you're trying to really get her alone, get the main character alone, and so there are a couple of ways to get the targets alone. I'm just going to reload and get it so that it works properly. And this next thing is one of the major inspirations for my professor, like the professor mission story. Just in case you've forgotten, that's just when Agent 47 disguises as a professor that's supposed to see and have a conversation with Dean of the university, and because of this, it provides Agent 47 an opportunity. This professor is losing his hair, has gone bald, looks a bit like Agent 47 himself, and he's a bit skittish. He's sort of like, oh, heck, well, I'm not really sure I want to have a conversation. So he's in the cafe, sort of drinking coffee, like, oh, I don't want to do it, but he's got to do it because Agent 47 is going to disguise as him. There is this gentleman in this level called Helmut Kruger, and he has a jawline very similar to Agent 47, and so what we're going to do is disguise as him. And this is a common thing they do. It happens quite a lot especially because they always have bald people. This is something that happens in the final level of this game as well, where you can disguise as someone that looks like Agent 47. So it's a common thing they do that happens in the levels. It happens in most of the levels, although not all. I think it is most that you do disguise as someone that the target is supposed to know, but because you're so well disguised, they don't know it's not them. And it's a good source of, I suppose, humour as well, because often these characters are very different from Agent 47. The fashion model is very different from a Hitman. In the level after this, it takes place in Italy. A golfing coach is very different from a Hitman. And these sort of things, add an extra layer of humour, an extra layer of depth as well to the level. It just gives a lot more fun. Okay, so I've knocked him out. Let's get him into a better position to hide. I'm going to have to knock this guy out as well. So he's going to see the body. I'm going to drag both of them into this location here. So this is something actually I don't think I've shown so far. Dragging bodies and pushing them inside. This is something I do have in the level. It works pretty well. I'm glad it's in there. I'll quickly disguise as Helmut Kruger. Yes, and so once again, the whole point of this is trying to get the targets on their own by using different situations. And the humour here is effectively your Hitman that's a fashion model. Which is a bit ridiculous, but it's also a lot of fun. So. And so we have a catwalk to keep appearances. Just a bit daft. Good fun.
Mr. Kruger?
And so in this disguise as well, they don't even frisk me, any of these guards. Which just demonstrates, you know, how powerful it can be to have these.
Kruger, sir.
Yeah, let me in. To have these special disguises, and so yeah, this idea was a good inspiration for the professor, especially in it being able to go anywhere, but also having a bit of fun with it as well. But like I said, this is something that happens in a lot of levels. It isn't just this one. Okay, here she comes on her own. Let's have a quick chat. So now that she's on her own, I'll quickly dispatch her. So there you go. With the disguise, I'm able to get to the perfect position. I mean, ordinarily, you'd probably have a bit more of a chat, but you don't really need to hear that. And there we go. We got her. Now we're going to look at Sapienza. Sapienza is quite a different kind of level. So Paris was very much one building, different levels of different floors, I suppose, differentiating between different levels of security. This level is quite different. It's quite open. It's big. It's expansive. There's a lot there. It's got two targets again, but having the added intrigue of trying to destroy a virus as well. Now, to tell you the truth, this is an issue that lots of people have made clear, and it is an issue. Destroying the virus makes sense as a mission objective the first time you do the mission, but it doesn't make sense in the rest of the time because there's effectively like 3 ways you can do it. Whereas with killing targets or eliminating targets, the options are kind of limitless. And it basically draws out the level a lot more and makes it, to be honest, when you're playing it for the 10th time, a lot less enjoyable. With that being said, this map is remarkable in a lot of ways. It has a big, massive, expansive public area which is effectively a town in of itself with a ridiculous amount of depth. And I suppose a concept they were talking about a lot, the designers were having these paths that always go back to the centre, and the centre being this mansion and more specifically the underground underneath. So I just bashed the idea of having the virus in the underground base. In my level I have an underground base with a couple of points of entry with a person instead. Now this is this is like a feature they've done again. The things that the designers call them fortresses, follow similar tropes but always have really wonderful differentiating factors. The differentiating factor in my one is, first of all, it's not as big perhaps as the other ones, but it's also that you've got to discover the map. You've got to discover the way in, and it's true with this level. You've got to discover the ways into the underground, but you can sort of figure it out. So there's one here, there's one entrance over here, and then you can figure out, okay, there's an entrance over here, and there's entrance in the mansion. Okay, so you know, so you can figure out from the map if you were so inclined. Whereas with my level, you've got to discover that underground map, and you've got to discover the secret way down, and you do that by having conversations with people. Secret way in? Yes, please. Into the mansion. We're there. So yeah, the main feature I'll talk about are the entrances into the secret underground. So there are a couple that you can get to without blowing stuff up. You can blow up a wall and get in. I'm not going to have that in my level because I think it's a bit... it's a university campus, you can't have something blow up. People will notice. In a sparsely populated village, maybe, but not in a university campus. So I won't have a blowing up a wall section. What I do have 3 sets of stairs that go into the underground. All, well, no, 2 of them are guarded. Well, all of them are guarded, but some of them are more guarded than others. I can, okay. So this one is guarded by this guy over here. And it also has a sort of like a lab key that you need to do. It's like, okay, I don't have the key card. And this is a really good way to enter. It gives you lots of opportunities. There is another way though. So if I go over to the secret place over here, if you go the convoluted way around, there's actually a secret way into the cave. Just this way. Here we are. And this is the underground area. And so I replicated that in my level as well. So actually, this is actually a really good example of I can show how it works. So I'm not in the correct disguise. I've got to try and get in. I don't think there is a way you can get in without using the correct disguise actually, but you know there's lots of cover around that I can maneuver. Even a portal wouldn't necessarily want to use that. They'd probably be pretty disgusting. Okay, here we go. I can go up here. Disguise is this guy. And I'll drag him. And dump. Goodbye. And so now with the correct disguise, it's a lot easier for me to walk around the place. I'll quickly show you if I can get in. I don't know if I can or not. Don't have the key card, that is annoying.
Scientists coming through.
Okay, so I've got the key. They're really suspicious of me now, which is fine. It won't take forever. Create the disguise. And now they don't know who I am. Great. New disguise, you have no idea. Alright, so yeah, so the underground has a couple of different secret areas as well, which is pretty cool. I've just destroyed the virus, so that's why the music's so funky. So yeah, here we are. Secret way here, which you can knock down or blow up. As I mentioned before, I don't really want to have this in the game. It'll be a direct rip-off. You know, it doesn't really make sense in university. But you know, just another way you can get in without having to use the keys. In my level, I've got the keys belonging to some of the guards, and also just located around the different areas of the map, which the player has to find. But it just adds a lot more complexity and a lot more interest to what the player can do. So yeah, this section of the level was quite inspirational for me, especially with the underground fortress. And hopefully we'll have more than just, yeah, it'll be a bit more interesting than just destroying a virus. You know, yeah, the 10th time you do it, it's like, ah, oh, isn't that cool? Whereas, yeah, eliminating people is a lot more fun. So here we are in Jothamesburg University. I'm just going to be walking around the place and just showing off. Well, I won't be having any commentary. Hopefully you can see some of the stuff I've done, see the design choices I've made, and how that reflects the source material I've used. So I'll just be walking around the place and exploring and having a look, and hopefully, yeah, you can see what's going on and how that's all played in. So yeah, enjoy for a couple of minutes. Okay, so there you have it. Hopefully you've seen that all the design choices I've made have been intentional. I've tried to think about it and really get things to work together. Hopefully this wasn't too long, but yeah, hopefully you've also had a lot of fun listening and watching, and so, yeah, thanks for tuning in. See you next time. Cheerio.